Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new, my channel is really focused around junk journaling and art journaling, and I especially do love junk. I like to reuse things and repurpose things. I also love painting and drawing and just mark making. We all love that, I think. Anyway, that's what you will find here. This is an enormous journal. I decided to make just a huge journal to put a lot of things in. And recently at one of our local thrift stores, they've been selling bags of just pure junk. I mean, you will find several treasures in it because I think they're scooping the bottoms of the bins where the donations are. And I thought it would be fun to have a massive journal to put all this stuff in, including the trinkets, like all of this. Now, for those of you who have seen this one before, the glue did not hold this down, and I'm not surprised. I used hot glue to put these jar lids on the page like a shadow box, but this one just fell off. And I think it's because that's just a very flexible, rubbery material, and I don't think the glue was able to really stick to it. So I used my awl to make some holes and just basically tie it to the page. Otherwise, oh, the other thing that didn't stick, the little balls that were kind of, they were rubbery too. They were very flexible. Let's see, there was one there and one there. But look at these little shapes that were left. I don't know if you can see them. Here is, I love trashy paper dolls. That's one of the things I love to make using food packaging or trash, and that's why they're called trashy paper dolls. They're very fun to decorate. I decided in this journal to add a very large, well, the whole journal is very large, but to add a fabric page that I could put pins on. And I actually have this most recent pin that came out of one of the bags of trinkets. So this looks like a pin that is replicating a postage stamp. So let's just put that. All of the pins and things like that I'm finding in the trinket bag, they're being stuck to that fabric page. This is cute. You know, this most recent trinket bag had a lot of ladybugs in it. So somebody must have donated a collection of those. And I've just been going through this book, gluing and adding little bits of art, making marks, trying to find a way to repurpose and use all of the trinkets that were in those bags. And it has been so much fun. I ended up putting some things in Cindy from Super Lucky Cindy. I think that's from one of your magazine pages, and that too. So here she comes rolling out with a tray of beer, and this old, probably from a Life magazine, Beer Belongs, Enjoy It. And here she is in her gown. I don't remember if that was from the same page or not. There's a pencil that was in one of the trinket bags. That is from McGregor Downs, which is I think a famous country club with a golf course. So I taped that to the page. There's just some little metal something that's taped to the page. I don't know what this was, but I love the sparkles, so I glued that down, stapled some flowers. This is just, it is so fun. This thing will barely fit on my TV tray, so it hangs off the sides. But I love to take my art bag in at night and just sit there at the TV tray and glue things in. I actually got brave and added a signature to this the other night at the TV tray. And that was difficult. And what I ended up doing was putting it in upside down. And I was so annoyed with myself. So here's the signature. Part of it was plain paper. And I added the actual size of the journal is so big, I've had to tape papers to get the pages and the signatures to be long enough I know I had the signature right side up, and I think with this thing being so big, it was hard to get the hemp cord through the signature, especially since I had taped the pages, these large pages together with this heavy duct tape. I think what I ended up doing was pulling the signature out as I was working on trying to get that very first hole in and get the awl through and get the needle through. I think I flipped the signature. That's the only thing I can figure out. So you can see that's upside down, but I'm going to go ahead and work on it. There was one page that I really, really wanted to have in here. So I ended up, see, like that's upside down. I can't believe I did that. Well, I can. It happens. Even if you've been making journals for a long time, things like that seem so simple, they just happen. This beautiful paper is from Super Lucky Cindy. Let me show you if I can find, that's upside down. I drive myself crazy. That's upside down. Carolyn, I think you sent me that page in some happy mail. I didn't want this upside down, but I may flip that one. One of these that was in here. So this one, I really wanted this. I love the bright colors. So I just cut the page like maybe this far out, flipped it, and then taped it in, or glued it in, pardon me. I glued it in. So we still have it. I may do that with the other ones, but I'm not too concerned about that right now. And you can see this journal is getting so full. It is so much fun to look at. It's very heavy. I'm already thinking, like, what in the world am I going to do with this thing? I don't know if one of the local libraries would have a place where I could put it out where people could look at it. I don't know. I just don't know. I also thought about keeping this one for when I start doing markets as something to put out for people to look through and get ideas. You know, like here's a pocket stapled in with one of those tabs. And I could add little notes. I don't know. Tell me what you think, because I think it would be fun. Oh, so Super Lucky Cindy, I should just call her Cindy, but I want you to be aware of her channel. She was showing some of her ephemera that she got, or going through it to do a journal spread. And this bathroom showed up, and I left her a comment, and I said, I'm going to need that bathroom. Well, I was thinking about the actual bathroom. Like, I love old houses. This is a little out there, but this pink, I don't know, it's just so cool. And she ended up sending me some happy mail. So we exchanged some happy mail, which was just so much fun. But she put this picture in, and that's just so sweet. I told her later, I said, oh no, I realized after I left that comment that it might sound like I was asking for the page. But Cindy's so gracious. We exchanged some happy mail, and look, I have my bathroom. Isn't that fun? I feel like I should know these people. She looks like an actress that was in some TV shows. You can see just trash, packaging, old magazine pages that I'm trying to glue down before they completely fall to pieces. And let's see if I can show you how big this spine is. I mean, it is. It's huge. It's still not too heavy yet. So this is the way I tend to work in these things. I just keep going back through and adding on the pages. You know, you can go back through and start over every single time you open your book. Grab my glue. Wow. But that's typically the way I work in my big junk journals. I just keep adding things as they show up, whether it's things that I buy or happy mail or things that I find. Some of our thrift stores, at least two that I can think of, have little free areas. So that's a good way to end up with things. And what did I pull out this time? You know, you just cannot well, you can use every single thing, but you don't want to use everything if it's gonna diminish, how do I put this? To me, finding a way to use all this stuff and being creative with it and incorporating it, I think it adds beauty to the project, because the point of the project is to reuse everything. If you had a beautiful shabby chic pink and, you know, white journal that's just all lacy and gorgeous, you would not want to come through and add this trash. But the point of this project is to reuse everything and to just see, grab some tape, to just see how you can repurpose things, and you learn things along the way. I've learned a couple of different like mark making tools that I never would have thought of. Let's just put those little strings in there. So this becomes fun, and it might give you ideas to use in other projects. But some of these things I just will not use. If the stem on that was longer, I might try to tape that in somehow. Look, it's cracking pretty badly. I'm gonna toss that. I just don't think it would add value, and it might actually take away. I don't want things that are cracking and falling out on the floor. So I wanted to explain, oh, this is fun. So this is a little stamp that was in there, and it still has the plastic on it. It says incredible. I wonder if it still has, ooh. Oh, how did I do that upside down? Seems like that's what I'm doing lately, is upside down. What's that? Oh, that's a pretty little card. Let's stamp the back of that. So I will put this in with my stamps. Even if I don't use it all the time, my grandchildren will use it. But I'll probably just put it out here with my stamps. I do like the stamps that have words. What else do we have? Oh, this is fun. Let's put a little color on this tape. And then maybe glue this little wooden game piece down at the bottom. Sometimes what I do, if I'm still working in the journal, is clip something like this down so that it actually glues in place and we don't mess it up while we're working. Sometimes I leave things like that to dry overnight. I'll try to save it to be the last thing I'm going to do before I go in. And I'm in my cozy workshop right now. I have found that lighting candles in here really helps to quickly warm up the workshop. I have the little heater over here, which is nice. This area over here can tend to look a little bit junky, but that's my paper making section. Of course, you see the storage bags where I do my shipping and everything. But that tray is what I put water in and bits of paper. And then, of course, I use the blender to blend it all up. And then my screens are up there that I use for the paper. But it's amazing in a small space how much heat these big candles put out. And I'm very careful with things like that. I mean, you can't be too careful. I say that with humility, knowing that everybody can mess up. And I try really hard not to ever leave the candles unattended or to forget they're out here. And then there's our big journal there. Honestly, this light fixture that I found, it is perfect to sit candles up in these three areas that they didn't really have anything in them, and to burn those candles. And it helps to warm the space up because this space is not insulated and it's not heated. I have my little window unit back there that's not covered when it's the warmer months. So let's get back to this. Things that have holes in them, well, not like this little wedding confetti. That's not gonna work, but things that are sturdy, unless they're dangerous or whatever, like that tab needs to be pushed down. I typically use as charms. There's a fun little hook there. The rubber band, I'll put that in my supplies. These little things end up being great for different projects, like making dollhouse furniture, or, you know, if you need just to do something, a really small area of paint or glue or whatever. So these are useful. They don't necessarily have to go into this journal, although I can see that if you put all these together and cut them up, you can make a really fun outfit for a paper doll. Like maybe cut these in half. It would be a perfect size to make a little skirt or something. So we might try to do that with those. Any type of pretty little leaf or flower, I usually try to use those. I will just glue that in. Put that right up next to her hair because she's already wearing that headband that's got all the flowers and everything in it. When we have this to figure out, I wonder if I could possibly, oh, I've put too much glue. I need to find a place where I can slide this under something. We'll figure that out too. Well, you know, it would be cute sitting in here under those feathers. I don't know if it's gonna stay. That's the thing with this type of plastic. Some of it grabs okay and some of it doesn't. I have found that taking a sanding block sometimes and sanding the backs of these things, you'll end up being able to get the glue to work, but I didn't try that on this. We may not need it. See if I can get the feathers to kind of cover up that little post there or whatever. That's cute. And then I did add some more cords because I put that signature in. So we've got these where we can add some more charms. I don't know if, I don't think that's open all the way through, whatever that is. Yeah, that one's closed up on the end, so I won't try to put that on as a charm. But we do have a couple of other things that we can put on here. This little plastic cog. So we have all kinds of charms on here. We have really pretty beads. We have junk. We have a Christmas ornament. I ended up putting this big piece of candy Christmas ornament on as a charm. And it just adds to the junkiness. I think things like this, at least when I used to have things on display when I was working at the scrap exchange, not everybody wants to make something like this, and I totally respect that. It's not really practical to have 20-pound journals that are so big they won't sit on a table. But I think it does inspire some people. Seeing things like this inspires me to think outside of the box and to, you know, ask yourself, well, maybe there's something else I could do with that instead of just instantly throwing it away. And it's just a lot of fun, honestly. We got those put on. I don't know if I'll sew in any more signatures by hand, you know, to add to this. So these were not put in by the sewing machine. I do add signatures using the sewing machine sometimes, but I put these stitches on here just to make it look like they had been put in that way. The signatures were all, they were sewn to a piece of fabric that was glued down. I don't know if that makes sense. So they were put on a piece of fabric with the sewing machine, but they weren't sewn to this with the sewing machine. But I did put this whole thing under the sewing machine to get that look. I don't know, it's hard to make that make sense, but it was a whole lot easier just to add those lines, because this will completely curl up to go under the sewing machine. But all those papers, that's too much. That's too much. And as you keep adding, you know, by the time you're putting in the last signature, you've got all the others there, and it's just too much. It's too heavy. So let's see what else we have. Let's get back over here where I added some pages. These. Now I could have figured out a different way to lay this page so that we're getting more of the, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to tear the page. I could have flipped it the other way, especially since there's mostly writing on here, but I'm not too worried about it because I end up adding so much to these pages anyway. It's not a big deal to me. I love all the blue here. Maybe I will make this just a pocket. Just put a little clip there so that doesn't move around. And this is just some vintage notebook paper that I stained with some spray inks. The Tim Holtz, what are they called? The mica stains. And since that paper is a little bit flimsy, I may end up adding something heavy to this side, like a pretty magazine image or something. Well, we've been going for a little while already, and it is Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving. It's been a busy week here again. I'm trying to adjust to taking care of 5 cats. It's a lot more because Blazer is basically a kitten, and he thinks it's funny to keep everybody awake all night. He thinks it's funny to claw his way up the back of the headboard. We have one that we made that has shelving in it. It was really our old box springs. Like, I don't know if box springs, that's not the right word. It was the foundation that held the mattress. And the way it was made, we just looked at it and said, we could really turn this into something fun. So Jason worked on it, and we added a little shelf and painted the whole, or stained it. It was just wood. But Blazer gets behind it. It's kind of hollow behind. It's hard to describe. Maybe I'll show it to you sometime. But he thinks it's funny to claw his way up the back in that hollow part and then jump through the shelves, knocking things off. We've completely emptied the shelves. But we love him so much. He likes to curl up between us to sleep. So I think we're bonding. And the other cats are getting used to it. They just think he's a young whippersnapper. I don't think they're impressed at all that he's running around all through the night. And I have a really very regular system for feeding the cats. They all eat in the same spot each time. They know where their bowls are. But Blazer has just thrown that all in he just meows like crazy. He's ready to eat, so he's just running in circles. I have to feed him first so he won't run to all the other bowls. And that has messed up the order a little bit because I always fed Mars first. we call Mars the ambassador because he's so sweet, and he's a little more agitated now because he's not well, but he would walk away before he would get into a fight. So, the other cats, they would eat quickly and then, try to maybe get to his food bowl, which I watched it and made sure that didn't happen. But the point is, I would always feed Mars first and let him get started so he had plenty of time to eat. And then it was Amelia, and then Vlad, and then Lucy. And now Blazer's just so wild. It's Blazer. And because of the frenzy that's created, Amelia, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? Amelia will run over to Blazer like, you're not supposed to be here. So then I feed Amelia because she's next to Blazer. So Mars is getting his food third now. But I do stand and watch to make sure that Mars gets fed. And then sweet little Mars, I think he is gaining a little bit of weight back with the appetite stimulant, but he's figured out what it is. So he quit eating it, but I bought a different flavor pill pocket. So we've been able to get the medicine in him the last couple of nights, and he is eating more. But he gets fed whenever he acts hungry. We take him back to either the bedroom or the office and close the door and give him his own bowl of food in private so that he's not bothered and he's not stressed. Well, this is fun. I better go. We're going to go have dinner with family or lunch with family. And I better go get ready. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you to everybody who's here, and welcome to all the new subscribers. Hopefully I will be around more the next few days and the next few weeks. It's been crazy lately. Okay, bye for now.